Hi, this is Lila from Knit and Gather, and today I'm going to show you how to pick up sleeve stitches on a top-down knit sweater. This is the Lento Sweater pattern. It's a top-down raglan, and I've finished my body and one sleeve, so it's time to pick up the second sleeve. Our goal with picking up stitches is to make a seamless transition in the underarm from our body stitches past our stitches we cast on using the backwards loop cast on and into the underarm. So the first thing we need to do is get our live stitches that are on hold onto our needle. I have some stitch saver cords in my sleeve. You can also use scrap yarn to put your live stitches on hold, or if you have an interchangeable needle set, you can use a needle cord with stoppers, and then all you have to do is screw on the needle size of your body. So I used a size 6, so I'm using my body size needle on a 16-inch circular. And the great thing about these cords is they're hollow. So what I can do is just pop that cord really snug onto my needle tip, and then I can guide it through all of my live stitches. You can just gently pull and scoot all of your stitches. And then this should just come right off. I cast on for this pattern 6 extra underarm stitches, and I want to place my new beginning of round marker halfway between these two needles. So it's going to be the center of the underarm is our new beginning of round. And how you can find that is find all of the knit columns that end at this cast on edge. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're going to place our beginning of round right in the middle. Now this pattern has you start picking up stitches at this marker. So we're going to pick up 3. I'm going to show you where I pick up an extra stitch to prevent gaps in the work. We're going to knit all of our live stitches, and then we're going to pick up 3 more stitches at the end. Some patterns will have you start by knitting all the live stitches and then picking up the underarm stitches. Either way is totally fine. So I'm going to be starting at this new beginning of round. I've got my working yarn. I'm going to give myself about a 6-inch tail. You can give yourself longer tails here if you want to close up gaps later. Tuck that in. And I'm going to be using this right needle to pick up my stitches. I'll show you, you can also use a small crochet hook to help you out with picking up stitches, so I'll show that as well. What you want to look for when you're picking up stitches is you want to make sure you're going into the center of the knit column. This will make sure that the transition from your underarm into your sleeve is as seamless as possible. So how we do that is we follow the knit columns, but we want to make sure that we're following the V's and not the carrots. So for my first stitch, instead of going here on this carrot column, I'm going to go right here into the top of this V, and I'm going to go under both strands of this cast on edge. I'm going to drape my working yarn over my needle and using some tension, pull up that stitch. Next, we're going to find the next V column. These will be a little bit looser, as you can see, than the carrot columns. Put my needle in, some tension, and pull up a stitch. It can be a little tricky, so this is where the crochet hook can really come in handy. So for my next column, I'm going to find these V's here, go all the way to the top under these top 2 cast on strands. You can insert a crochet hook, similarly, wrap the working yarn around, pull that up, and then we can place that onto our needle. So I've got my 3 that the pattern calls for, but as you can see, I have quite a big gap until my first live stitch. So I'm actually going to add an extra stitch, and then on the next round, I'm going to knit those 2 together to get back to my original stitch count. So what I like to do is follow the column that kind of goes on the side of this cast on edge. And we're going to follow that column and find a spot where we can go in and under 2 strands. Otherwise, if we just go under 1, we're still going to have a gap here, and that's what we're trying to prevent. So I'm going to go right here at the top of this column under 2 and cast on 1 extra stitch. Now we're going to knit across all of our live stitches. So I'm getting to the last few stitches of my live stitch section, and I'm going to be adding an extra stitch just like we did on the other side to help prevent any gaps before I pick up my final 3 underarm stitches. So again, I'm going to find this column that kind of goes alongside our join here. And I'm going to find a spot between my picked up stitches and my last live stitch here. So I'm going to go right under here, under these 2 strands, and add an extra stitch. And then on the next round, I'm going to knit that stitch together with the next picked up stitch to get back to my original stitch count. So now we are back to picking up stitches, so we're going to be picking one up on this marker slot. The next column is here and 3. So our next V is right here. Wrap and pick that up. Hop over here, pick that one up, and then one last one, making sure we're going under both of the strands of that cast on edge. And now we are ready to work our sleeve round. I'll show you where I'm going to be knitting 2 together. So typically the next step in your pattern will be to do 1 knit round, and here is a great place to make sure that your stitch count is all correct. So I'm going to knit 2, and then here I'm going to knit these 2 together, and that eliminates the extra stitch that we added. And then when we knit all the way around to the other side, we'll see where there's a little bit of a gap, and we're going to knit these 2 stitches together on the other side. And then you should be at your stitch count and ready to work your sleeve and begin sleeve decreases. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found this helpful.